part of my intro, as I say, I'm a Marvel movie appreciator. But I guess it's not Marvel, so I could cut it. Or you could say something about it.
No, you can say something about it. What do you mean by a Marvel movie appreciator?
Like, I like them.
Yeah, so do billions of other people. So like, what on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being like DC Comics is number 1, 10 being like if I see Kevin Feige on the street, he might want to keep his pants on. You know, like what level?
I was there for Endgame. Like, I saw it in the theater. So like,
Once again, like a billion other people.
I would watch them again in a little while, maybe like a year or so.
Okay.
I appreciate them. I appreciate what they did for me, and that was create community. That was make something exciting during my high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I got that feeling of, oh, big blockbuster show. We're going to like wait out for it. We're going to go watch it. Actually, I also got that with Twilight as well because I did go to every single midnight premiere. So anyway, but what I'm saying is I appreciate what they created. That's all.
So if you could only have one more movie in either franchise, what you're telling me is that you'd eschew Twilight and you'd pick up Marvel.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. It's that time again. The time to cut through the morass of all that divisive media out there to find out the truth. Because, as the X-Files stated so many years ago, the truth is out there.
Don't make me feel old. I'm Steele Philippek, that's Liz Ramirez, and this is The Critics in the Crowd. Like always, we're here to cover those movies that have professionals and audiences at odds with each other. Who's right, who's wrong? We're here to find out.
Today, we're covering Venom, the 2018 superhero film. Well, maybe anti-hero film, as Venom is based on that super famous figure in the Spider-Man multiverse. The film is loosely based on the Marvel characters, which found huge success in the late 80s and early 90s. The film had been in development hell for decades and had been previously pushed after both Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but as both of those films underperformed at the box office, it took a while before everybody's favorite toothy symbiote finally made it to the silver screen.
Oh my lord, we're about to get into the controversy there. Symbiote? Ooh.
It's symbiote. They say it in the movie.
They say symbiote in the movie. Let's hold on. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
Fans were initially a little cool on the depiction of Venom in this film. You can't argue with its box office numbers. Critics, however, hold this entire franchise in low regard, and that's why you're listening to us, also because of my voice. Liz, can you do your best Venom voice for me?
Okay, yes.
Hello, Steele.
Is that good?
No, hey. No, he talks like this. This is kind of how he talks, right? He talks, no, Eddie.
Is that his name, Eddie?
Hi, Eddie.
That was really good. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, you know, have you ever seen The House Bunny?
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah.
I love The House Bunny when she's like, gosh, what's the name she says? Cut all that out. It would have been really good if I would have remembered right away.
The stats. Venom was released in October of 2018. It stars Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, a disgraced journalist, and Venom, an alien symbiote that gives Eddie superhuman strength, speed, endurance, and a serious case of multiple personality disorder. Michelle Williams plays Eddie's ex, Anne Wang, with Riz Ahmed as antagonist Carlton Drake, unethical inventor and entrepreneur, and Riot, another symbiote who becomes bonded to Drake.
Reed Scott and Scott Hayes round out the top-level cast, respectively, as Dr. Dan Lewis, Anne's new boyfriend, and Roland Treese, the head of security for Drake's company. The director, Ruben Fleischer, who had already helmed the smash hit Zombieland, as well as 30 Minutes or Less, and Gangster Squad, which were less well-received. He would go on to direct Zombieland Double Tap and future Critics in the Crowd entry Uncharted, both of which were hits, and is now at work on Now You See Me 3.
The film is based on the character created by David Michelinie and Todd McFarlane, first fully revealed in The Amazing Spider-Man number 300, though he'd appeared briefly before that to hype him up. As this is without Marvel Studios' involvement and was to be largely independent of the Spider-Man films that were in production, the origin story of the main character had to be shifted a bit. In the comics, Eddie Brock is still a disgraced journalist, but one who blames Spider-Man for his downfall. If you've seen Spider-Man 3, you'll know this origin story very well. Eddie merges with a symbiote, which Spider-Man had previously worn, thinking it was simply an alien-made costume and not realizing that it was an actual alien life form. Spider-Man had managed to shed the symbiote, only for it to merge with Eddie and to try to avenge themselves against the hero. Originally a strict villain, he's killed numerous innocents in the books. His popularity proved to be so great that creators eventually had to evolve him into an antihero of sorts.
Ever since a true Spider-Man film was in serious discussions, so too was Venom. David S. Goyer pitched it with Dolph Lundgren as the lead in 1997. Topher Grace played the role in Spider-Man 3 in the hopes that it could be spun off if the film was a success. It was not as much as hoped for, and so that film series died. And then again in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2013, and 2014, when major attempts to get it off the ground all failed. It was only in 2017, with the approaching release of Spider-Man Homecoming, that Venom finally got the green light.
Production began in 2017 on a budget of just over $100 million. Everything about this film is legendary in both truth and rumor. This was a relatively low budget for a superhero movie of this time. Spider-Man Homecoming cost nearly twice as much the year before, and there was some worry that a critical or commercial flop would tarnish that franchise just as it was getting going again, so there was a bit of hedging here.
In addition, there was also a lot of hope from Sony Pictures that Venom could kickstart a shared universe with other Spider-Man characters that the studio owned the rights to, as their attempts in 2014 had collapsed when The Amazing Spider-Man 2 underperformed. As a side note, Sony Pictures has a use-it-or-lose-it deal with Spider-Man characters, so it has a vested interest in continuing to produce movies. Studio interference and pressure reportedly made for a tough shoot and even tougher post-production, with producers desperate to keep the film's final running time on target, and with just enough gore to satiate fans of the gruesome characters without getting an R rating, which would have hurt its ultimate potential in terms of finances.
And somehow it worked. The film went on to gross over $850 million worldwide. That is a smash hit, a blockbuster, a global success, and just behind its Spider-Man counterpart in terms of total box office dollars. Venom would spawn 2 more hit sequels, both of which qualify for critics in the crowd, as they are just as similarly divisive. It also gave Sony its greatest wish, the foundation to create its own universe of characters adjacent to Spider-Man. Morbius, Kraven, and Madam Web all came out due to the success of Venom, and as they all qualify for the critics in the crowd, you can guess as to how critics and fans have received them. Back to Venom. A top-level synopsis from Rotten Tomatoes.
Journalist Eddie Brock is trying to take down Carlton Drake, the notorious and brilliant founder of the Life Foundation. While investigating one of Drake's experiments, Eddie's body merges with the alien Venom, leaving him with superhuman strength and power. Twisted, dark, and fueled by rage, Venom tries to control the new and dangerous abilities that Eddie finds so intoxicating.
The critical consensus on Rotten Tomatoes is as such.
Venom's first standalone movie turns out to be like the comics character in all the wrong ways. Chaotic, noisy, and in desperate need of a stronger attachment to Spider-Man.
The crowd, meanwhile, has this to say.
Some truly fun, odd couple chemistry plus the right blend of action and comedy make Venom's messy plot easy to forgive.
The love for this film has only grown. Fans initially rejected much of the major changes to Venom that were necessitated by production and rights issues. In the comics, Venom had naturally evolved over nearly 30 years of storylines, with the symbiote changing hands, Eddie kinda mellowing a little, and all of the various soap opera bits and bobs that come with a comic book multiverse. The film had to walk a fine line with violence, with the origin of the symbiote, and with Eddie Brock himself.
To give you just one brief example of the level of fervor, a controversy erupted over the trailer, in which actor Jenny Slate pronounces the word symbiote rather than symbiote, as had become standard in Spider-Man content. Though both pronunciations are acceptable, fans were in such an uproar that they ADR'd Slate's line to the more American pronunciation for the final film. So is it symbiote or symbiote?
It's either, but in most Spider-Man media, it's pronounced symbiote. Personally, I would say symbiote. It's really up to preference. It's Caribbean.
Oh, tomato.
Yeah, either, neither, neither.
Let's call the whole thing up.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
Thank you. That was good.
Initial thoughts.
Steele, this was your pick. I have one question for you.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Why?
So, full disclosure, I worked on The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and pitched for the Venom screenwriting job back when it was being developed there.
That's my host, y'all.
I did some work on multimedia and transmedia, some of which I can see in this final film, but as there was a whole shakeup at Sony after the email scandals and...
Wait, what?
You don't know about the email scandals?
No, I'm literally 5. Tell me.
Oh, okay. Well,
Sidebar?
Yeah, sidebar. Anyway, back to this. There was a whole shakeup at Sony after a scandal erupted there, and the early version of Venom that I was working on was shut down, so I have no way of knowing how much, if any, of my influence is in there. I don't hold any grudges. I was paid well for my work and got to work with a lot of amazing people. That's just the nature of film business. As for this film, I saw this opening weekend when it first released. I am and have always been a big fan of Spider-Man, though not strictly of Venom. Sometimes he can be a bit too over the top for me, and his role as antihero has never quite sat well in my mind since I grew up with him as a villain. So I wanted to see how they handled it that opening weekend. And it was a mess. There were lots of reshoots and re-edits of this movie, and to me, it showed. I remember liking the first half, but even then it was kind of a chaotic mess of transitions and cutaways and dropped elements, odd narrative choices, and Tom Hardy, who goes 110% into this role as both Eddie Brock and Venom. I think if any other actor had taken on this role, this film would have been doomed to the bargain bins of Walmart. Instead, he is so charismatic, so willing to go out there, and oftentimes acting solely against a CGI creature or himself that I couldn't help but be won over by him in spite of literally almost every other criticism I have of this piece. I wanted to see this movie again to see if my initial assessment was correct, if I loved Tom Hardy, if the other elements of the film just didn't work. I really didn't remember all that much of the film, except for a few of those crazy set pieces, not the least of which is that lobster tank scene.
I wasn't really interested in Venom, if you couldn't guess by now. And I thought maybe one day I might give it a try and, I don't know, see what the hype was about. And I mean, by hype, I mean people ripping it apart. I had to stop like 5 minutes in when I first watched it because the opening scene, where someone's leg is like broken and it gets
Not a body horror fan.
Not in the slightest. I respect Tom Hardy as an actor. I'm a fan of his work. I don't know if at the time me being a fan was enough for me to keep watching. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love This Means War. Which you've never seen. I love it. I think you see a lot of that Eddie Brock charisma. That riz. I'm just kidding. That charisma in This Means War. I saw a lot of that connected, of course, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. I thought Venom was a cool character, and I knew nothing about him except for what I saw in Spider-Man 3 with Topher Grace. I thought that was great. The whole thing with like the loud noise, it covers him with all the pipes, and it goes ding, ding, and he's like, ah! Then it like splits up, and then like Venom makes, Tobey Maguire like dance funny, right? He like does like that.
It's a perfect recap. Sam Raimi couldn't do it better.
I was a kid also when I saw it. So I was like, hey, Spider-Man, I don't know if you could even consider that Spider-Man part of the Venom lore, right? Like that's part of it.
One should not just ignore a film even if it does not meet one's expectations. I think that's a big failure for The Rise of Skywalker. I'm not a huge fan of The Last Jedi, but they made choices. They backed it 100%. And once you do that, you got to own that. And trying to backtrack it just leads to a muddled mess. We will discuss this more when we cover The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, both of which are eligible for the critics and the crowd, but for opposite reasons. One film is loved by the critics, one film is loathed by the critics. One film is loved by the crowd, one film is loathed by the crowd. We will talk about that in due time, but back to Venom.
I literally just saw Spider-Man 3 and was like, I just thought, that's Spider-Man, but like he has a different suit. That's all I thought. Was like, but he's Venom, I guess. Yeah, I knew nothing about the comic books, so just feel free to educate me about the comic books, and all the comic book lovers out there. Don't get mad. Just educate me, please, and go easy on me. Thank you.
You cannot get both. You can be educated by fans, but they won't go easy on you, or they can be silent and they'll go easy on you. So they got angry about the pronunciation of a single syllable in a word.
You're right.
You ready for the synopsis?
Yes, sir.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages.
Oh, sorry, wrong tape. We begin in space. The Life Foundation, a bioengineering corporation, has funded a manned probe to explore the universe in search of new habitable worlds. That mission, a failure, because it takes months to get to Mars, let alone another star, but it did find a comet covered in extraterrestrial symbiotes. The crew managed to snag 4 samples, but one breaks loose and causes the ship to crash in East Malaysia. Billionaire Carlton Drake, founder and owner of the Life Foundation, wants answers as his team watches EMTs in Malaysia clear the ship, taking a surviving crew member, John Jameson III, to the hospital.
Or they would. if Jameson weren't infected by the symbiote. The symbiote takes control of Jameson in the ambulance, crashes the vehicle, and then hops to one of the EMTs, who abruptly departs despite a broken leg, which heals. It has a patch of Jameson's spacesuit. It reads Life Foundation. That's as good a destination as any on this planet Earth. Okay. So, we're a minute and 20 seconds into the film, and this film literally twice has told me, in association with Marvel. Does Marvel not claim this media as their own? Can you explain, Steele? Is there some deep-seated drama that I just don't know about?
Yeah, so we're going to get a little bit into this in the trivia, but the legal parameters of Spider-Man are hazy. As stated before, Sony has a use-it-or-lose-it deal. They have worked with Marvel Studios essentially as a production partner to produce Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home. They've also been working kind of adjacently with the Spider-Verse movies, but I don't believe Marvel Studios is directly involved in that, as in pushing the storyline. And so there is a lot of nebulousness here. There is some controversy and some contradictory statements about how much, if any, Spider-Man, as in Peter Parker, was allowed to be in this film. So I think I can say that there were steps that were taken to make sure that Peter Parker as Spider-Man did not appear in this movie, which leads me to believe that Marvel was not as associated with this as some reports would have. That being said, you will find so much controversy, so many rumors about this movie and Marvel's involvement or lack thereof. You could go crazy trying to dig to the bottom of this. This is like the Black Dahlia of movie productions. So that's really all I can say. I don't mean not just legally, but I really can't say for certain one way or the other.
How did this happen? Why can't we just be friends? Hey, you pay me, I pay you, we make a movie, and that's all good. What's going on in the industry? Anyway,
yes,
taking it back, rolling it back. Nebulous was such a good word to use. We were just in space.
Yeah. Oh.
You're so wow.
I meant to do that.
Yeah. I was like, okay. Anyway, the intro was like how Stitch crash landed on Earth. I was like, whoa, it's like Stitch. Also, I'm very proud of myself because I did get past the part where the broken leg happened. We just talked about it in the beginning that I really didn't want to watch that because the broken leg happened. It literally didn't want it. I got past it. I'm proud. What I had to do, though, turn the volume all the way down, cover my eyes.
Hey, you do what you got to do.
But yeah, and then I was through it.
As we talked about before, I love The Thing. This opening reminded me of The Thing instead. One movie that you and I probably have to watch as friends, at a certain point, because you need to watch that movie.
I went a little bit in and then I had to stop.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't want to, but because I think I had to go somewhere.
It's like, what gross part did you gross you out? And you're like, oh no, I had to go do my laundry.
Yeah. Yes.
Aside from the whole exploring new worlds angle, I felt this was a great cold open. It kind of dropped with a bang. I will say that when we find out later that they were searching for new habitable worlds in a spacecraft, it's one of these details that are throughout this movie that just doesn't make sense upon recollection, and that just sits with you as you're watching. At least it sits with me, and it just felt sloppy. There are a lot of elements like that are just sloppy in this film. Yeah. So I'm not going to say that I hate or love this film yet. We will talk about that at the end. I will say that for every slick moment, and there are a lot of slick moments in this movie, there is a moment where I went, okay. Continuing on. Fun fact, John Jameson III is J. Jonah Jameson's son. That is the same J. Jonah Jameson who is Spider-Man's Daily Bugle nemesis and Peter Parker's employer. The character originally appeared in Spider-Man 2, portrayed by Daniel Gillies.
Okay, let's keep going.
Forget Malaysia. We're heading to San Francisco. We meet Anne Wang, a lawyer representing the Life Foundation in court, and her fiancé, journalist Eddie Brock. He covers the Bay Area from his motorcycle for MNB, is that right? MBN, whatever. He crafts hard-hitting pieces that aim to take down the techno elite and standard elite of the city. Eddie's boss tells him that he's got an exclusive with Carlton Drake, who wants to clear the air about his rocket ships after the crash. Eddie knows Drake's crooked, but he's forced into agreeing to a puff piece despite his reputation. He was run out of New York for shooting from the hip.
Which Anne reminds him on their date night. She looks impeccable. He looks like he hasn't had a shower in a few days. But somehow, they work. They're in love, which makes it all the more frustrating when Eddie steals info on the Life Foundation from Anne's work computer. He's set for his interview with Drake, who, after leading a group of school children on a tour of his company's HQ, tries to highlight all the good he's doing. Eddie, however, brings up a wrongful death lawsuit, unnecessary experimentation, and a whole host of other things from Anne's files. The interview is cut, and Eddie is thrown out. But that's only the beginning.
A pet peeve of mine is when productions don't take the slightest bit of time to make sure locations are appropriately showcased, hopping from neighborhood to neighborhood. But I do understand it. You want to showcase the city you're shooting in, so you get the Empire State Building right next to Yankee Stadium. This film, however, takes it to another level. On Eddie's motorcycle ride at this point in the film, he goes from being literally on the waterfront to being on one of the highest hills in San Francisco. Bad movie. Bad. But the sequence of his journalistic biggest hits was rather slick.
I honestly didn't even notice that. Maybe I'm just like the dumb watcher that they're going for.
No.
You're right.
There's a reason, like I said, there's a reason why they do stuff like this. They want to show San Francisco. Oh, we're on the wharf. Oh, here's the Trans-American Pyramid. You know.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Also, I didn't know how stacked this cast was.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it before. I knew Tom Hardy. Cool. But Ron Cephas Jones and Michelle Williams.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Hey! And then Rip, rest in peace, Ron Cephas Jones. He did great in this role, I thought.
Yeah.
Anyway, wow.
I like the juxtaposition here when we get good guy Drake saying the right lines about how we need to ask questions and the bad guy Drake who gets Eddie thrown out for asking questions. It's an unfortunately prescient look at our modern world. It also shows him being really charming. A massive reason for success at the sea level and in Congress is charm, even when we see through their machinations as duplicitous. Kind of a side story. An acquaintance of mine was doing work at George H.W. Bush's bungalow in Kennebunkport, Maine, and this person is hyper-progressive, and this person said that he was the most charming person that she had ever met, that she just wanted to be his friend. So like that's you have to have some sort of charm to get to that kind of position, and I feel that Riz Ahmed here, he does great work in this role. I don't remember him being that good upon my first watch, and seeing this again, maybe it's just because we have so many tech bros in the news, so much political division, that it just hits a little different now, but I thought he was great.
He was really great. He was very versatile. No. I guess, is it duplicitous?
Yeah, duplicitous.
Duplicitous. Yeah. Oh my gosh, well, look at me. Using big words. Guys, this is, I don't know how many episodes. I think Steele's rubbing off on me. Anyway, nebulous, duplicitous, and one more smart word. Thank you.
If you hire an arsonist to clear a forest, don't be surprised if he burns it to the ground. I remember thinking when I first saw this that Eddie's employer was an idiot for getting his top investigative journalist to go on a softball interview with an entrepreneur dealing in shady stuff, but honestly, that's kind of true to life. The right people hire the wrong people all the time and then go shocked Pikachu when they don't get what they expected.
Honestly, so right. I thought Eddie's actions here, I was like, yo, what are you doing? I hate when characters do this where they put themselves in the position, but I know that we have to go to the trenches so that we can be quote unquote built back up. You hit rock bottom to go back up, but I always hate when we have to hit rock bottom. I don't know, is there any way around that where you're like, no, don't do that to yourself, main character, and then you're supposed to be built up, but also Venom isn't a good guy either, but is he? But he isn't.
I think that this film, upon watching this again, I liked it more than I did the first time.
Okay. I
still don't like how they handle Eddie at the beginning here. I didn't like him enough to buy him betraying his fiancée like this. And for being an idiot on this interview with Carlton Drake. Had I been more on board with him, I probably would have bought it a little more.
Yeah.
But I just, when Anne took off her ring, I was like, yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
No, I literally was like, good on Anne. She knows her worth. She's not going to stay with no man who just ruined her career.
Yeah.
And she leaves and she finds herself a new man. Now, we'll see. I will spoil this. You guys seen the movie. Please watch the... Well, okay, maybe don't watch. I don't know. Do whatever you want. I can't control you.
This is America.
Oh, God. I was happy for her. I thought she was going to be one of those, wives that dies. They painted her out I literally wrote, I was like, Michelle Williams better not die. They're making her, the character, out to be like she's going to be the dead wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really glad she's not the dead wife. What happened later, we will also get into.
We will talk about
Holy hell. Not what I expected. But, anyway, good that she knows her worth. Thank you, writers, for that one thing. Eddie loses his job and gets fired because of his actions, and the wedding is off. Duh. The symbiotes arrive at the Life Foundation with Carlton Drake signing for the FedEx package, and our Malaysian EMT symbiote comes into town, eats an eel, kills a load of people, and then jumps to another host. We cut to black, and 6 months pass. This movie is hauling.
At the Life Foundation, we get a bunch of sciencey mumbo-jumbo as Carlton Drake and one Dr. Skirth observe one of the symbiotes bond with a rabbit. It appears that the these aliens need a match, like an organ transplant to survive. Drake wants human trials to begin over Skirth's protests. And after a bit of a threat against Skirth's family, Drake departs. As for Eddie, he's at a dive bar, or what can pass for a dive bar in San Francisco, as those cocktails he's drinking are surely setting him back a sawbuck per. He pays $20 for a free paper to a down-on-her-luck lady on the street to help her out, and witnesses a shakedown at the local convenience store. His bills are overdue, he can't get a job at any outlets, his neighbor is playing his guitar late at night. Why doesn't Eddie confront him like he confronted a billionaire? And life can't get much lower.
Okay. Oh, I literally wrote, was there a good reason to make this guy an asshole? Why was Eddie such an ass? The soundtrack felt all over the place here. I wrote that down. I was like, what is happening? What? I can't quite remember what. I should have wrote more when I wrote that, but I think it was like going from like actual like soundtrack music to songs, and it just felt funky to me, which is crazy because usually I'm like really good. I don't even notice soundtracks in movies unless they're really good, or I've never said that a soundtrack was bad in my life. So for me to say that, I was like, what's happening?
So some people, not me, but some people refer to the music of a film as hygiene, that if you notice it, it's not doing its job. It should be facilitating. And, I don't think so. I think that music can elevate a film to the next level. Think about the Star Wars theme, like as you watch that opening crawl.
You're right.
I actually really like the composer. He's done a lot of really good work. We'll get into that in the trivia. I don't really remember much of the music of this film. I got to be honest.
I don't know. I felt it was wonky. That's all I'll say. I mean, it wasn't like terrible. I mean, when you get to like the action stuff, it's great. I think it was just that in between stuff. I'll have to go back and rewatch so I can understand why I said that. But yeah, my next note is the introduction of Jenny Slate's character was bad. Do you remember? Yes.
How so?
Literally, there was no... She came out of the blue for me.
Okay.
That's weird.
So part of this is that there were a lot of reshoots and re-edits, particularly of this first half, but the entire movie. And there's a lot going on here. They cram a lot into this opening. It feels a little rushed, and it uses some tropes to facilitate that. We get the, Drake is human testing, it's happening too fast, and there's the dive bar, are you so-and-so, replied with, I used to be. It's moving. This movie is moving quickly. There's a lot that's going on in this film in terms of tone, in terms of just everything. A lot is going on.
You're right. 6 months? What?
Yeah. But,
half a year?
Yeah.
Anyway.
and I'll say, I prefer that to a film that is too deliberate in its pacing.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done it, where, the audience sees something that the character doesn't. It was like the audience had no clue what was going on, and he just starts talking, and I was like, who was he talking to? And then like Jenny Slate's there. Yeah. And I was like, okay, sure. Yeah. There had to have been a more clever... I've seen this done in more clever ways in other movies. Don't ask me what movies, but it was my biggest hiccup so far in this film. And, okay, the writing, I don't know if it was the writing, I don't know what it was, but he says he's done with quote-unquote this shit, but he literally has nothing else to do. Yeah. He also has nothing to lose.
Yes. He's
by doing this.
He has nothing to lose. He's still living in a $3,000 a month apartment in San Francisco. I don't get it. I
don't know. Maybe he could lose his life by going, but I was just like, dude, this literally could, and then I started getting angry.
Well, also, he's calling all of these news outlets looking for a job at 9 o'clock or later.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they're even answering, let alone why he thinks this is a good idea. Yeah, he's a little bit of an idiot. It's these small things, along with the tropes, that are infuriating about this film. And yet, even through all this, Tom Hardy still has me. The meditation, the grabbing the 2 beers instead of just one. It's a lot of great physical comedy here that still hits with the drama. The shopkeeper tells him that he looks like but
yeah.
A, he's Tom Hardy. I wouldn't kick him out of my bed. And B, he looks the exact same as the beginning of the film.
It's true. He looked the same. He looks disheveled, but in that like sexy, like, ooh, what does he got going on behind those eyes kind of way.
The encounter that Eddie has here with the woman on the street, I would have loved that in the first part of the film. So we could see his humanity, his basic kindness.
Yeah.
He's just so much of a jerk that having that would have made me buy his actions a little more. Or before that, it comes a little too late on this. I feel like they're trying to salvage him here. It still works. It's just a little inelegant. I gotta give it to Tom Hardy. During the stick-up scene, his charm with the shop owner and his obvious realization of his own cowardice, they're both subtle and great ways to keep me sided with him.
Human trials began at Life Foundation. After a brief pep talk from Drake, our test subject, Isaac, is introduced to a symbiote. It does not go well. It rejects Isaac. That is, sucks him dry.
Keep it together. Keep it together.
I'm sorry. I'm literally like, I'm potty humor. Okay. That's what she said. Okay. Eddie, meanwhile, seems to be speaking to himself. He's not. Dr. Skirth is tailing him. This whole testing thing has gone too far at the Life Foundation. She begs for his help. People are dying. Eddie refuses and tries to chat up Anne, who's with her new boyfriend, Dan. He's actually pretty chill and a fan of Eddie's. He leaves him alone and Anne gives Eddie the bad news. This is all his fault.
That hits close to home. And after a vignette on the Golden Gate Bridge, this is San Francisco, people, Eddie breaks into the Life Foundation HQ with Dr. Skirth. We get a load of exposition here. Overpopulation, climate crisis, Drake looking for alternatives, rocket, comet, etc., etc. But, to the film's credit, we're still hauling. It's over. Drake's trying to merge symbiote and humans so humans can survive in outer space. Eddie is told to gain evidence and not touch anything. But you know Eddie. He can't help himself, particularly when he finds his favorite down-on-her-luck lady as a host for these symbiotes. He tries to free her, but when he does, the symbiote jumps to him. Alarms are blaring, Eddie flees, and thanks to some newfound superhuman powers, he's easily able to evade guards. What is happening to our intrepid reporter?
Okay, the I miss you scene.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he hit rock bottom when she left him, but that was rock bottom. I was like, this is so awkward. What a loser. What a loser. And I was like, I'm kind of out of... I do like Tom Hardy, guys, so I did stay. Okay, I did stay. Like, I was like, okay, Tom Hardy, what do you got for me? And later, it does really get like, yeah. But also like, oh, I was like, but like, yeah. Yeah.
Small bit I like. The symbiote seems like it's going to go into Isaac's mouth, and then it just melds into his skin. Underrated in this film, Riz Ahmed as Carlton Drake. I buy every scene he's in. He has the perfect balance of slime and charm.
Absolutely.
So that he can go both ways at any given point. When he threatens Dr. Skirth's family, it's perfect. Like it could have been mustache twirling. It could have been understated. It is just the right level of menace for a character like this.
Absolutely. He really was a standout character. And I mean, he is Oscar nominated, isn't he? You know?
Is he?
Yeah, for the one where he's...
Oh, The Sound of Metal.
Yeah, The Sound of Metal.
Oh, my Lord. He was excellent in that movie.
Anyway, this is baby him. So I think it's really sweet to like see, not that he's a baby by any means in this, but it's like, you know, you see where someone came from, you know, where they sort of started and like where they've gone. And I think it's really impressive. And he did a great job.
This film hits a little close to home with everybody kowtowing to the tech entrepreneur and then refusing to go to the police and expecting a journalist to save them. It makes Eddie's refusal of the call and wanting to stop being a white knight that much more believable, at least in modern times.
What is kowtowing?
Kowtowing is like a deep bow, like going down and putting your head onto the ground and your face and hands, you know, and prostrating yourself. Prostrating yourself.
That could... No, I'm sorry. I was kowtow. Wow. I learn so much every day. We're suddenly outside in a forest on a level plain. It was night before and on a steep hillside, but whatever. Eddie flees from the guards and hides above.
I'm sorry. I have to interject. I hate when any media has someone hiding up above their pursuers in the trees. Yes, it's unlikely that anybody could climb more than a few feet in a few seconds, but if you've ever searched for something, you know you look everywhere, even illogical places. No, bad movie, bad.
You're honestly so right. When I was watching it, I was like, he's in a tree. That's funny. I was like, why does nobody look up? Just look up, you know? Oh. I've also never tried climbing a tree. Actually, maybe one time, but I think I was scared.
I had a tree that I climbed when I was a kid and my mother cut it down.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I'm so sorry.
Let's get back to the film.
Yeah. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Eddie returns home and is manic. Tweaking? He's chugging water, he's out of sorts, he's eating frozen food, garbage, he's vomiting. Something's wrong. And that's when the voices start, as Drake deals with the intrusion and learns he has a successful host. Eddie wakes up to a scene familiar to anybody who's ever gotten too intoxicated. A dirty apartment that you slowly remember trashing yourself and leaving future you to clean up. He's got photo evidence of the Life Foundation's misdeeds. And the old woman in Malaysia with the symbiote. Well, said symbiote jumps ship for a blonde girl headed on a flight to the good old US of A. How is this alien so smart? I was like, how the hell did he know to go from Malaysia all the way to the US to get to the Life Foundation? Are they like are they talking to each other? Do they know how to traverse anywhere now? They're just really smart.
The rules in this film are a little unclear. For Eddie, he has multiple personalities. There is a voice in his head. For these other symbiotes, it seems like they're just taking over the host. I think the film is trying to say that if you're a successful host, then there's a little bit more of emerging, but that's not really emerging. There's still a discrete bifurcation between the two individuals. And yet, at some points, the symbiote just completely drains someone, and it's all over the place.
Yeah.
I really do not get it.
I really do want to know what constituted a good host. And I guess they did kind of explain it.
It was very sciencey mumbo-jumbo hand-waving, it's like an organ transplant.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because it was still eating Eddie. It was still killing him.
Yeah. Man.
So I was like, will he eventually die? I don't know. I don't know how this is supposed to work. I don't know how this is supposed to work in the long term.
The super nerds will correct us on this.
Super nerds, come correct us! Thank you, super nerds. I appreciate you and your super nerdiness. Yep. I think that's... Oh, the vomiting? Yeah, that got me. I was like, this is nasty. I'm so glad. I have to stop eating food while I watch movies. I'm very much like a YouTube iPad kid. But honestly, it's the TV. It's the TV thing. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day when you used to watch the TV, sit in front of the TV with the TV dinner with the TV little tray. You know what I'm saying? And also, it also predates back to medieval times when people were eating turkey legs, watching, the jester, I don't know, make jokes and fart and stuff. It goes back to those days, okay? So I don't even want to hear it. Anyway,
you'll note that I did not criticize you on this.
Oh, you're right. You just sit there, you're just Anyway, back to the movie, y'all.
A pause for one of the great physical acting moments of our time. Eddie needs Anne's help and finds her in a standard San Francisco restaurant with boyfriend Dan. He's got photos from his intrusion into the Life Foundation, but his body needs food.
Live food and chill.
He jumps into the lobster tank, devours a live lobster, and Dan, once again to his credit, covers for him. He takes him to a hospital to be scanned, but the symbiote and Eddie panics under the scanning. He's discharged, but of course, things are heating up. Tom Hardy's physical performance here and throughout is amazing. He really owns this. He owns being someone who is suddenly hearing voices and going through something major.
No, he really does. I was watching the behind the scenes, making of video. I love those. Everyone knows I love those. And I'm watching him act to himself, and he's putting his hand up and doing the thing. And I was like, wow, that is really a trip for an actor to go through that. I was very impressed because I was like, wait, how do you... I haven't done a ton of stuff on film. I do a lot of stuff theater. I want to do more films. So if anyone's out there and wants to cast me in a film, I also look pretty. And I know my voice is really nice, but I'm also...
Did you read the screenplay that I sent you?
I started it. I haven't finished it. Don't worry. I've been really busy, but I will read it. Why? Why are you saying something?
I'm just saying, go cast me something. Oh, read the script. Busy.
Okay, but no. I'm going to read
teasing.
it. Don't worry. I'm going to read it, and it's going to happen. I just wanted to everything to be right when I read it. I didn't want to just you know what I'm saying? I wanted music to set the thing, and I wanted maybe to have a drink in my hand.
It's okay.
Steele, I'm gonna read it. Don't worry. Please cast me. Don't worry, I'm gonna read it. I'm really excited. Yeah, I think we can continue.
This restaurant scene is legendary for a reason.
Yes.
Hardy isn't one note here, but he's not just crazy. He's all over the map, but it's a controlled madness. It's very, very on a knife's edge, and he pulls it off.
Yes, he does. I was right there with, I think everybody in the audience or everyone watching this for the first time being like, oh, the lobster, That was crazy. They did a great job with that. And Tom Hardy did a phenomenal job with that. And I think with everything, I totally agree with you.
At the Life Foundation, we find out that the host of a symbiote, even a match, dies from a lack of nourishment and organ failure. But the symbiote is susceptible to sound waves, just like Eddie suffered during his scan in the hospital. Dr. Skirth is devoured by a symbiote when her subterfuge is discovered. And Eddie? He's taking a cable car home and getting an update from Anne and Dan. He's got a parasite.
They think it's mundane, it's an alien, and now it's talking to Eddie. The guitarist's neighbor is playing his axe, and that ain't good. Eddie scares him into submission and then confronts some goons who Drake sent after him to get back the symbiotes. And by confront, I mean that the symbiote unleashes hell on them, slashing and attacking and saving Eddie, even as he leaps from a building, is fired upon, and then, after a confrontation with the symbiote in a car's window, gets on his motorcycle for a chase scene for the ages as Eddie, then the symbiote, then Eddie, and then the symbiote weave in and around traffic, and they escape the Life Foundation drones, goons, and guns. Eddie finally crashes and goes all limp because he's mortally wounded. But the symbiote heals him and turns him into a hulking monster that we all know as Venom and escapes.
There's guns. There's a chase scene. Where are the cops? There's
zero cops. SAPD. No, SFPD.
SAPD? San Antonio PD.
Okay, shut up. Is it SFPD, San Francisco Police Department? Yeah. Yeah, I was mocking you, sorry.
Thanks. Thanks for explaining the joke.
Hey, you're welcome. Excuse you. Continue, damn it.
I know there's a stereotype that the cops don't exist in San Francisco, but this pushes credulity to the limit. This is the overriding problem with this film, that there are unnecessary details, quote unquote, that it just doesn't feel like we as an audience need to know, and it just blasts forward with it. It's also, we're almost literally 50-some minutes into the movie about Venom, and we're just meeting Venom.
Right.
That's a choice, a big choice. I think it almost works. It's a little bit much.
I think the choice comes from the fact that they knew they were going to make 2 more movies after this, okay? That is why. I think that they knew, no matter what, even if it flopped, they were going to put 2 more out there. Anyway, poor Jenny Slate. I didn't expect her to die like that, and then she was dead. I was like, okay, sure.
This is the kind of movie that the whistleblower gets iced so that the main character, has some reason to get vengeance.
Does he even know that she dies, though? Does he even care?
The movie doesn't slow down to ask the question.
Right. It seems like a waste of money and resources to create highly advanced drones that act as kamikaze pilots trying to destroy their target. I understand it makes for cool effects, like this blue fire. Like, whoa, he keeps dodging all these like they're exploding. What? Huh? There's like at least seven explosions, and they all... But why? They have guns on that. Why? It would be easier to follow if they would just keep going and keep but they explode.
If the cops aren't going to do their job, then, it's lawless here, apparently.
Lawless in San Francisco.
I'm not going to say it's subtle, but the relationship with the host and symbiote is much more mixed in the comics. The line between Eddie Brock and the symbiote are blurred. They refer to each other themselves as we at most points. And here it's clearly multiple personalities. In the comics, the role of Venom is a little more mercurial. Eddie refers to himself as Eddie, to the symbiote as the symbiote, and to their combined personage as Venom. But so do the symbiote's other hosts, Mac Gargan and Flash Thompson. Having the symbiote say his name is Venom here is a choice. I dig it. It is an adaptation. That's fine. But I understand why some fans weren't on board with that aspect. Drake watches the entire exchange remotely, and it's exactly what he wants, a stable symbiote-host relationship. This is exemplified when Eddie and the symbiote, which calls itself Venom, have a conversation by the docks. Venom tells Eddie to cooperate, to help get his folk down to Earth, and Eddie will survive. Eddie seems ameliorative to this situation. Oh, and by the way, the little girl from some time back, she's arrived in San Francisco as a host for a symbiote.
I thought Venom CGI looked really awesome.
Oh, it looked great.
It looks really cool. I will say there are some inconsistencies with. Okay, oh, you're laughing. Okay, so maybe you know with the mouth movement.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm glad that you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know that it's that uncanny valley thing that the eye picks up on. For instance, when he introduces himself to Eddie, he makes the M sound at the end of his name, but with his teeth. Then, later on, he can move his lips and make the M sound again with different words. His mouth can close, but for no M sounds, but then it can, which is weird. And I know I'm being super picky, but you'd think this isn't something to be missed for such a high-budget film. It seems lazy.
The CGI house that did the work on this, they didn't have a ton of time, and they had a lot of shots, and they were trying to figure this out on the fly. We'll get into this into the trivia, but Venom was depicted in many, many different ways by many artists, sometimes a little more restrained, if you can use a word like restrained for a character like Venom, and sometimes completely outlandishly. So they had to kind of find a middle ground there. It was very expensive trying to figure out how to get that to work. Tom Hardy was initially going to do motion capture, and they just couldn't get it to kind of fit. It was a lot of work. They used a stand-in. We had to have a helmet to be over 7 feet tall in order to get some reference at points. They also had like a rig for the mouth in the CGI that was very complex. So I think this is a lot, and you have to do a lot to convince the audience. And at the same time, once again, this movie's moving. You know, it's just going. So yeah,
I'm gonna just forgive it. It's okay. But it's just that when he says his name, I'm Venom. You would just think that shot. You know, we have our title, roll credits. We have our character saying his name, introducing himself. You'd think that would be the most perfect shot in the film, and it's not, and it's weird. But that's okay because I forgive it because it's fine later. We're fine. I'm going to just take everything you said and I'm going to internalize it and I'm going to move on. Anne is on the road when she gets a call from Dan. He's ever the dutiful doctor and lets her know that Eddie's screening was off the charts. Yeah? No, sherbet. Do you say sherbet or sherbet? I don't like people who say... Actually, let me not say I don't like people who say sherbet.
I don't like people who say sherbet.
I like sherbet. Okay. Anne goes to find Brock, but it's a crime scene after what happened. She tries to get in touch with Eddie, but he's trying to get back into the old office to share the incriminating evidence of the Life Foundation, and uses the plural first person for the first time. We need to get up there. This is a host-symbiote relationship if I've ever seen one, and I've watched a lot of Mari.
As Venom, they race up the building. The symbiote says the world is pretty. Maybe it won't kill it. Maybe. And then they almost buy it when the sound of a passing plane nearly causes them to disassociate. They survive and crash into the building, Eddie leaving evidence of the Life Foundation's misdeeds on his old boss's desk. And then the movie goes into hyperdrive. This is the part of the movie where I felt everything got rushed to the point of insanity. Way back when I saw this for the first time, this is where it lost me, and it's where I feel it goes too quickly now. I was thinking, maybe I was too harsh on this movie. Maybe it actually does work, and here it gives over everything to the sake of alacrity, just to get to the final fight, the final sequences.
Also, I need to compliment this because I didn't know that Tom Hardy also voiced Venom. Am I crazy?
No, I didn't know that originally.
Which I, again, was like, that's really impressive because I thought they were two separate people. It really seemed like that. And the voice styles and the tone, which I think, of course, an actor works on to make those two people very different because you don't want them to be the same. Also, Venom has a soft side? Question mark?
I don't know. He's like, I'm going to destroy this planet. Maybe I won't. Actually, I like this planet now.
Yeah, that was kind of funky. I was like, sure, okay. He's also got some riz, which is crazy because he's like trying to teach Eddie how to get Anne back. I was like, what is happening right now? Okay, I guess aliens can get it too. I don't know. Not get it. That's a weird thing to say.
Eddie, we are Venom, and we can give you sex advice if you write into our email, venom@venomlove.com.
That was crazy.
The office is surrounded by SWAT. Ann arrives and witnesses Eddie's extreme escape before leading him to Dan, where Eddie's informed that this parasite is eating his organs alive. Gross. He also knows 2 weaknesses for this organism: high-pitched sound and fire, which they experienced during the motorcycle chase scene. Eddie and Venom confront each other in a scene right out of Jerry Springer when Ann separates the 2 of them with some pitches of the highest order. That allows Eddie to survive when Drake's goons come to steal him away because Venom, he's in the wind. Or rather, in a dog that a patient has brought with her, who marches straight to Ann.
As for Carlton Drake, he interrogates Eddie but then gets Treese, his head of security, to take Eddie out to the woods for a quick bye-bye as Drake and his symbiotes discuss world domination by getting all the symbiotes to Earth. Eddie's about to get dropped by Treese and Drake's goons, but Venom shows up, thanks to Ann, who is hosting that symbiote. She takes care of the security detail, throat kisses Eddie, and then Venom and Eddie are reunited as a first-person plural we. They run off to deal with Drake, while Ann is left behind. Whoa. Whoa. I didn't know I was getting Lady Venom here. That kiss was crazy. Oh my god. This is a crazy thing I'm about to say. You could cut it out. Let me know. I said, I bet the incels had a field day with that one. Is that harsh?
Actually, there was a fair bit of the fan community that shipped Venom and Eddie. And there are some questions about whether this kiss is Ann's kiss or whether this is Venom kissing.
What the hell? Y'all. This is like My Little Pony stuff. Like,
My little pony, ah, my little pony. I used to wonder what friendship could be, my little pony.
I'm gonna give you a pass on that one because you have children, so like I'm pretty sure that's how you know the show. I'm not gonna like make any other assumptions. Y'all are weird.
Excuse me. It's not weird for a grown man to watch a show about ponies learning to deal with friendship and growing up.
I'm literally in my seat. I'm so shocked. You're coming. This is out of left field for me.
I remember this part of the film going into hyperdrive and me not buying any of it. I don't buy Venom liking Ann for whatever reason. I don't like how fast this moves. I don't like that Drake's symbiote is magically able to work with him while failing all of these other hosts. I didn't like all of the Life Foundation suddenly being at HQ to serve Carlton as he wanted to launch, which, yes, is absurd, but considering all of the entrepreneurs and rock gods who expect all of their wishes to be fulfilled momentarily, that I'm okay with. It's just a lot going on.
It is so much. And also you said that like it's working with Eddie, but it's also not because it's also killing him. Like I wrote this down. I was like, I don't understand this lore. How is this going to work? Also, the Venoms want world domination, but did he had a change of heart? Like what? But why? He's seen the world. Oh, through Eddie's eyes, he's seen the world. Seen what? San Francisco? That's it. He saw it for like 2 seconds and was like, actually, you can live. We're going to actually change this right now.
Are you going to San Francisco?
But also, I guess I get it because he was saying like,
I'm also a loser, just like you.
So Venom is an alien loser. Got it. I guess aliens can be losers too. Losers stick together.
Goonies never say die.
Aw. Hey, you guys. That was good. I sounded just like him, actually.
It was pretty good.
Thank you. No, so I guess they're losers that can stick together. So I thought that was funny that he's like, I'm actually a loser just like you. And so we're going to save this planet because I want to start fresh, which I can understand. You know what, Venom? I relate.
Let's talk about Carlton Drake, or Riot, as his symbiote is known. They are planning on launching a spaceship in the middle of the night to get more of the symbiotes. Drake's entire team is there, ready to agree. And Venom, he likes this planet now because of Eddie, I guess? Sure, why not? This plot has gone off the rails, so let's get down to business. Scrub diagnostics, we have a rocket ship on launchpad ready to go with a few moments' notice. Let's get up there. A few fools try to stop Riot from doing this, but Riot murders them, and a lot more people. The launch will not be stopped.
But thankfully, Venom arrives. They and Riot argue and fight for reasons, and then they are separated due to the rocket launch's heat and sound. So now it's down to Brock and Drake. Drake survives when Eddie gets an axe from Riot through the chest. But thankfully, Venom returns for plot reasons and allows Eddie to sabotage the launch. Riot and Drake are dead. The day is saved. For now.
This skirts the line of an R rating. I can understand why the studio was eager to look at footage and keep the PG-13 for a rating. When Riot goes on the rampage, this is when I could see a rater go, this might be a bit much. The special effects here are great, but I just don't care about Riot and Venom. I care about Drake and Brock, and they're subservient here to an action sequence that is great, but to me, ultimately unfulfilling. It's been a half hour since Venom revealed himself, whatever. It's been an episode of Friends since we've seen Venom, and we're supposed to be invested.
Time has passed. Annie is talking with Brock. She's working with the public defender's office. Eddie has scored the interview of a lifetime and has turned down his old employer. He's doing good work now. Very good work. Because Venom survived the explosion, and so now they're going to clean up the streets one way or another. And when Brock's favorite shopkeeper is shook down again, Venom decides that ain't right and indulges in a little snack.
So, Liz, how did you... Oh, sorry, I forgot the mid-credits secret scene. Eddie travels to a prison to interview a psycho. It's Cletus Cassidy. The comic fans among you will know him as the symbiote Spawn.
Carnage.
Okay, sorry, Liz. How did you like the end of the film?
Okay, this story of them coming together, this might be weird or controversial, but this is a story of someone coming to another land for a fresh start away from the you of the past. This is like another wine mom flick, okay? Just with aliens, ripped off heads, and explosions, you know? Wow, who knew Venom was going to be like this? Not me.
You know, this is why when I finished this film, Disney Plus recommended Eat, Pray, Love.
You're kidding me. You're a liar.
Of course I'm a liar. That's a joke.
Oh.
That's the joke.
I messed it up still.
Don't worry. It's okay. Don't touch it.
This was a great ending.
Okay.
This was a great ending. This is what I had seen on social media, you know, those like Facebook movie accounts or whatever, TikTok, whatever. I don't even do TikTok, but like Instagram Reels, okay. Come at me if you want to come at me, whatever. I don't care. Yeah. I thought that's why I was wondering what all the hubbub was about, because this scene was pretty fun watching it solely by itself, and I think it really wraps up the movie nicely. I was excited to see more of their relationship from this final scene.
Great.
I wish I felt like that earlier in the movie, but you know, sure.
Yeah, it's a nice little coda, and the film wraps nicely with Venom snacking down on the guy who shook down the shopkeeper. I wish there was a little more of a payoff. This movie moves so quickly, and it just expects you to follow along. And on one hand, I gotta give credit to the filmmakers. They were just like, yeah, let's do this, let's go. But I don't know.
I didn't get to say this before, but the climax of the film, the final fight, didn't feel very climactic to me. I was just like, okay.
We've been rushing
You're
this
right.
entire time.
You're right.
So
It meant nothing to me.
It cannot build up because there hasn't been enough to build that up. Hayao Miyazaki, the famous animator who did Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke, he has this saying, there's a phrase in Japanese, ma. It's the space between the claps. So you have to have silence to allow for loudness to emerge. And he has been quoted as saying that if you just have busyness, then you don't have time to reflect and to see and to understand and to just be in the moment of a film. And there is no ma in this film. There is no time to reflect. It just moves.
Yeah, that's how I felt. We were on this train, Venom train, and there was no stopping. We were chugging along. Choo-choo. Yeah, the end really left a good taste in people's mouths, and I think that is where all the good reviews come from. You know, people are excited to see more. The fanboys loved it, I'm sure.
80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, fanboys loved it. I almost missed the end credit scene. I was like, okay, Marvel, sure.
But not Marvel.
But not Marvel. So I was like, okay.
Legally distinct.
I feel like this is honestly the longest one I had ever seen. I'd never seen an end credit scene that was like more than at least a minute. I feel like this movie needed it also, strangely enough. And that's why I feel more and more this movie was just exposition.
Set up.
To build a relationship we want to see in more movies. Made me feel kind of cheated a little bit. But I mean, sure. And I thought to myself, I'm never watching that again. Cool. Trivia.
The film's story is largely based on the miniseries Venom, Lethal Protector, and the Planet of the Symbiote storyline, as well as the origin of Venom in the Marvel Ultimate Universe, which did not necessitate Spider-Man's involvement.
Tom Hardy was given permission by director Ruben Fleischer to improvise on set. This led to some long shooting days as well as some of the most memorable sections of the film, not the least of which was the lobster tank sequence, which was Hardy's idea upon seeing it when he arrived on location. The production design team had to rig the tank overnight so that it could take Hardy's weight.
It's unclear how much of a mandate Sony and Marvel had regarding Spider-Man in this film. Some reports had put Tom Holland, Peter Parker, in the most recent Spider-Man live-action movies, on location or set for a cameo, while others stated that Marvel categorically rejected any appearance of Spider-Man, and still others said that Sony could have had him in if they wanted. This was all leading up to a very messy near divorce between Sony and Marvel just a couple of years later, which ultimately didn't happen. Regardless, writers Jeff Pinkner and Scott Rosenberg confirmed that they were told that Spider-Man could not be in Venom before they made their initial pitch.
To aid in his dual performance, Tom Hardy would record his lines for the symbiote alien at the beginning of each production day and then listen to them in playback via an earpiece as he portrayed Eddie Brock. He'd use a similar technique when he'd played twins Reggie and Ron Cray in 2015's Legend, another stunning performance from Hardy that tries and fails to elevate the broader movie.
The film went through numerous reshoots and edits leading up to release. Tom Hardy reportedly oversaw those that were done in June of 2018. That was less than 4 months before the film's release, so you can understand the frenetic pace and uncertainty that the film's crew was facing.
The official Venom trailer is one of the most popular movie trailers on YouTube. It currently sits at 88 million views. Compare that to the 12 million of Spider-Man Homecoming. This is all the more shocking as the initial trailer was incredibly divisive and didn't even feature Venom in it. Some claimed that this was to heighten fan interest for the big reveal, though director Ruben Fleischer had a more pragmatic reason. The special effects hadn't been finished yet.
As said before, the design of Venom himself was tough, as the character went through several distinct looks depending on the artist, not to mention the big Spider-Man logo on the comic character's chest, which was a leftover from the symbiote's time as Peter Parker's quote-unquote costume, and thus could not be used in the film, either for narrative or legal reasons. Designers eventually went with an amalgamation that distilled the look of the character down to some universal traits, with reflective skin, orca-like eyes, veins, and, of course, Venom's signature tongue, which required a complex rig in order to animate.
Ludwig Göransson, Swedish musician, composer, conductor, songwriter, and record producer, scored the film. He won Oscars for scoring Black Panther and Oppenheimer, and is a favorite of director Ryan Coogler, for whom he scored Fruitvale Station and Creed films, as well as the aforementioned Black Panther.
I thought his work on Turning Red was particularly good. You'll also know his work from producing This Is America from Childish Gambino, a frequent collaborator. I went to NYU with Donald Glover, actually.
What?
He was in my class. We acted together a little bit.
Holy bleep me out. Beep. You're kidding me. We have to talk about this sidebar after later. Thank you. I'm so sorry.
DNEG had to produce over 1,100 digital effects shots for the film. Compare this to the 63 in the original Jurassic Park. This is all the more impressive considering that the film was still in reshoots as late as the summer of 2018 with a release in the fall.
Anne's line, "I love you, but I love myself more," was added by actor Michelle Williams as a reference to the Me Too movement. Her brief transformation into She-Venom was kept secret for as long as possible as an Easter egg for fans. Ruben Fleischer and Sony studio execs, no doubt, hoped that this could spur interest in a She-Venom spinoff. As an aside, in the comics, Anne's transformation into the She-Venom and Eddie Brock's controlling psychotic behavior eventually led to the character's suicide.
Filming took place in Atlanta, New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. Fun fact, a big chunk of the CGI shots were to digitally erase Coke signs from the buildings in Atlanta, because anybody who's ever been to Atlanta knows just how big Coke is there and how not big it is in San Francisco.
Pros.
The CGI was great. I don't know much about CGI, but I think they did a stellar job.
Yeah, I felt that the look of the symbiotes and Venom in particular were great. Riot, maybe not quite as much. It still looked very, very good.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Tom Hardy, of course, is going to be my number one pro. But on rewatch, I thought Riz Ahmed, I didn't remember him being this good. He was excellent as the villain in this. And sometimes I felt like there wasn't a lot to work with, and he made it work. He was honestly great.
Yeah, I think the acting was stellar from the whole cast. I have no complaints about the acting, really. They did what they did.
Yeah.
They did what they
what
they had. But honestly, they were great.
I felt the first half of this movie kind of works. It's a rush job, but I can kind of buy into it. I feel that once the inconsistencies really began to build up, I just couldn't suspend my disbelief anymore. But at least at the beginning, I felt it kind of worked.
Yeah, I really liked their relationship by the end of the film. I was really excited. I mean, I kind of wanted to see more. Kind of. Not enough to actually go do it. But, but yeah, I thought they did a good job creating the bond between the two.
Any other pros?
Yeah, the quips were quibbing. The quips were quipping. I will give them that.
Yeah, there's a good amount of mixture of comedy and action and a bit of horror, a bit of body horror in particular in this film. It can be a little all over the place at points, but I feel in general it pretty much hits that exact right tone it needs for a hard PG-13 film about an anti-hero comic book character that fans want to see do some kind of devilish things.
Yeah.
Cons.
The soundtrack. I know I said it before, and hearing what the composer actually has done, now I'm like, maybe I shouldn't say anything. But the soundtrack was funky for me. I don't really know what they were going for, but I feel like the music could have been chosen better, especially the scenes where we have music with lyrics. It felt funky and off.
The editing. We're all over the place. It's very slick, but this film moves at a pace that can barely breathe. And by the end, there are just so many things that I'm asking questions about. The lore, the narrative choices, what's going on. Why does Venom choose to switch? Why does Venom decide to switch his motivation? Now he's going to save humanity. It's so all over the place.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I've kind of at that point, I was just like, and that's going to be that. We're not going to get anything answered. I was complacent with it. And I shouldn't be. Bad movie. But screw it. I wasn't ever going to watch it again. I was like, sure, whatever, fine. We end on a nice note, cool.
I have no idea what was going on behind the scenes with this film. Nobody really does, except the people involved, and they're maintaining a united front. There were a lot of reshoots, a lot of re-edits, and that's clear. That's on the record. And so I've got no idea how the composition was put together with the film. It could have gone in any number of different ways. They might have cut here and there. Because this went through so many iterations, who knows?
The build to the climax was not good enough, which I think, your climax is supposed to be the most important thing. I was just watching two guys fight, and I felt no stakes at all.
The second half was so rushed. The first half was rushed, but I felt like it was still building to something. And I don't necessarily mind that we don't get Venom until almost halfway through in and of itself. But then the second half of this film is so rushed that I don't have any emotional stakes. I don't care as much. And thus, when they're like beating the tobacco juice out of each other, who cares?
Right. I know I said I liked their relationship, but I also didn't see them bond enough before they became best buds. Mm-hmm. Maybe we needed more time with introspective Venom, but there is no time. There is no time.
Yeah.
What do you do, right? What do you do?
Personal opinion.
So, Liz, what's your personal opinion on this film?
I think the movie could have been better. With all that money, it really could have been better. It seems like it takes so long for them to form a good relationship, and I don't know if it was the writing or the editing or what was going on behind those closed doors and what was potentially on the chopping block. But I really it was good enough for what it was, I suppose. Sony Marvel picture.
I hated this the first time I saw it. I didn't dislike it as much the second time. There's still a lot of problems with this film. It's still way too rushed. But I kind of got swept up a little bit more this time. I felt that Riz Ahmed's performance here saved a lot of this, and Tom Hardy was great. I still don't love the film, but I could see myself watching it again in the future.
The more I watched on, even to the after credits scene, Venom seemed more and more like a necessary vessel to set up the rest of the franchise. Unfortunately, it falls short of leaving an impression like the first Iron Man did for me. It seemed like the movie they needed to get out of the way so they could really break ground and tell this story. It just sucks that the intro movie isn't good. It's like how I feel. It's like how I feel about the second Thor film. So boring. Sorry, fans. I shouldn't feel like this about the first film, Seeing now that there are 2 more films, I might be more inclined to watch those, but I don't see myself revisiting this film anytime soon. And after watching, I'm interested to see the sequel, but don't understand why there's more than one, because it wasn't good.
There are sequels to this film because Sony needs a multiverse.
Money, mama, cha-ching, cha-ching. Money, 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 money.
The verdict. The critics and the crowd are divided. Only 30% of critics give this film a positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes, while fans of this film are much more positive at 80%. Who got it right, Liz? The critics, the crowd, professionals, amateurs? Where does this movie belong?
This movie was just okay. It's just okay. It can fall into the cultural zeitgeist, and it's just gonna as it has. I have to agree with my critics. The only time I really felt like, hell yeah, was the very end. And it really shouldn't be that way, you guys. Shouldn't be that way. I certainly wouldn't watch Venom again unless I absolutely had to. And this film is either one you skip or you have to painfully watch when you start binging your favorite movie saga.
I am going to go into my utility belt and shock you. I think the fans got this right on this.
What? Okay.
This is a film for the fans of Venom. I don't buy it. I've never been a huge Venom fan. I don't dislike Venom, but I feel he works better as a villain than as an antihero. He's a very, very villainous character, and the attempt to kind of revamp him doesn't work for me. This was a near impossible task for Sony to pull off with a smaller budget than they normally would have for a superhero film. For a group of fans who are so fervent about this main character that they got into a screaming match about the pronunciation of the word symbiote, whatever. They had to thread the needle on this, and I think that somehow they did. You have to be a fan of this movie for this to work. I am not, but I think if you're a Venom fan, there's a lot more here than it would be for anybody else. I'm not saying that makes it a good movie, but I think that the fans do come out with this.
Good take.
And that was Venom. Thanks for joining us as we went on this roller coaster of a ride of a film. Please follow us on our social media channels. Please like and subscribe, unless you don't like us, in which case, whatever. No. We welcome honest critique, just as we honestly critique the media that we look at. So please hit us up. Please listen in. Any parting words of superhero wisdom?
With great power comes great responsibility.
The Critics in the Crowd is hosted by Liz Ramirez and Steele Philippek. Editing and production handled by Steele. Social media by Wendy Dobkin. Logo by Aria Feliciano. Music by Joel Studler, provided via Humble Bundle. All audio effects are sourced through freesound.org and used under the Creative Commons license. If you feel that we used a piece of audio to which you own the rights, please email helmstarmedia@gmail.com.